So the tweets are back. Let's talk about it on the Azimuth Podcast. I'm Barrett McNabb, and with me is Kimberly McNabb.
So Donald Trump, president-elect, said, I am very surprised that the Democrats who fought a hard and valiant fight in the 2020 presidential election, raising a record amount of money, didn't have lots of money left over, he put on X Saturday evening. Now they are being squeezed by vendors and others. Whatever we can do to help them during this difficult period, I would strongly recommend we, as a party, and for the sake of desperately needed unity, do, he continued. We have a lot of money left over, and that our biggest asset in the campaign was earned media, and that doesn't cost very much. Make America great again. Per New York Post. So Trump's earned media came in the form of viral social media posts doing free, that's a concept, what a concept, Democrats, free interviews and a host of dozens of rallies that generated their own news stories and headlines.
Yeah, I mean, so just to go figure, to put in perspective, so, even at the tail end of the campaign within the last week when Joe Biden was on that webinar and he called Trump supporters garbage, immediately the genius that is in Trump's, campaign said, okay, let's go get a dump truck, paint it white, put a Trump Vance flag on it, get Trump dressed up in a garbage uniform and have him do a presser from the cab of the garbage truck. I mean, absolutely. And so that he did that, and it cost him nothing for advertisement because the photographs were all over Twitter, they were all over Instagram, they were all over TikTok, they were all over YouTube, they were obviously all over the media, and it just generated so much buzz, and he didn't have to pay a single dime for it.
Yeah, I mean, and he didn't turn down any sort of podcast media, whereas Kamala Harris, she would turn down so many people, but then she would pay for concerts. She paid Oprah $1 million. And first of all,
to come and endorse her.
Oprah doesn't need $1 million. So she really believed in Kamala Harris. She would have done that for free. All those concerts she paid for. And she even paid a substantial amount of money for to be on the Call Her Daddy podcast, even built a set for it. I mean, just wasted money.
Yeah, it was over six figures, so we're talking $100,000-$200,000 to build a set just to be on the Call Her Daddy podcast, and they built the set in a Washington D.C. hotel room.
Yeah, whereas Joe Rogan, he just went to Austin to Joe Rogan's studio.
Right.
Like,
you mean Trump? Yeah. Trump.
Yeah, Trump went to his studio. So it's just a bunch of wasted dollars. And
to put that in perspective, Trump went to Joe Rogan's studio for free and got 34 million views on YouTube over a 3-hour interview. 34 million views for free.
Yeah, so I would say that ROI is pretty darn good. And, if you're so good, my thinking is if you're such a good product, meaning presidential candidate, you don't need a bunch of celebrities propping you up. You don't need all the left media, CNN, NBC, all these media boosting you up, but yet you're not actually saying anything.
Right.
So I think it did rub a lot of people the wrong way, on top of the policies and everything. But I have a clean comedian that I read his Facebook post. It's nickmorrisoncomedy.com. He says multiple outlets are now reporting that after Harris inherited over $1 billion in campaign funds per office, gave millions at a time to already uber-rich celebrities for their endorsements, through lavish, expensive concerts for her donors, and spent a reportedly $450,000 a day to advertise on the Sphere in Vegas. She's now finished the race, reportedly over $20 million in debt, amid staffers voicing fears of not being paid for their work on the campaign. But you know what? You're right. She was going to help the middle class and save the economy.
Yeah, I mean, you got to just put this in perspective. I keep saying this. She raised $1 billion and blew it. I just want to say Senator Elizabeth Warren is a Democrat from Massachusetts. She has built her entire platform on dark money in political campaigns. Like that is her thing. Like, Senator Warren, what would you like to talk about today? I would like to talk about dark money in our elections. And give me a break. The $1 billion came from the Democrat side, not the Republican side. But she historically is always blaming Republicans for raising this dark money.
Well, it reminds me of Margaret Thatcher's quote. The problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money. And guess what? Kamala Harris certainly did.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, now Trump was clearly trolling. He's not asking for Republicans to pony up.
No, and he's not being all that charitable.
No, but the obviously, if they are $20 million in debt, the DNC National Campaign Fund needs to cover that.
Yeah.
To make sure that her employees get paid. All the vendors get paid and things like that. But that is just, $450,000 a day to advertise on the Las Vegas Sphere, which is really cool. The next time we go to Vegas, I definitely want to see it. But it's literally like a big giant ping pong ball that's 20 stories high and it's huge. But to advertise on that for $450,000 a day and then to still lose Nevada. I mean, just what was she doing? What was she thinking? She had opportunities. I can promise you, she didn't have to pay to go on Brett Baer, and Fox News, and she could have done that a number of times if she really wanted to try and get the supposed disadvantaged or disgruntled Republican vote. She could have gone on Fox News multiple times. I'm more than happy to have her. The biggest misstep was missing out on Joe Rogan's podcast and the Joe Rogan Experience, because he wanted her to be there and was going back and forth, and the Harris campaign knows that they knew their candidate. They knew their candidate, and they said, "Look, can we get a chance for it to be edited?" And Joe Rogan's like, "Nope, I don't edit my podcast." "Okay, can we tell you the things that you can and can't talk about?" "Nope."
Can it be an hour and you come to us?
Well, yeah, and he said, "No, I'm not going to do that." And then finally they're like, "Okay, we can have you come to us, and it could be an hour." And Joe Rogan's like, "That's not what the deal is. It'd be so much better to have it in my studio." And again, Donald Trump came to Texas in order to do that. He didn't need to. He didn't. Texas was ruby red, gonna vote for him no matter what. But still, he took time out of the battleground states because he was able to see the vision of what he was going to get.
Reach far past Texas.
Yeah, reach far past Texas. I mean, it's not that those 37 million views were in Texas. It was all over the United States.
Well,
and the world.
Democrats, if you had such a great candidate, you would not need to limit her. You would not need to place limitations an hour and Joe Rogan come to her. I mean, and I don't know if they tried to offer him money. Thank goodness he doesn't need it. Thank goodness he maintained his integrity. But, I do have two questions for Democrats. Like, you paid Beyonce to perform and you didn't even get a dance out of it?
Right.
Really? And then, if this is how they spend their own money, what the heck would they do with our money? Yeah,
that's a great, because, Trump came in under budget. Right? And that's exactly what we want him to do for the U.S. economy.
We want that same ROI on our money.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's a great point, Kimberly. If she had $1 billion and she went in the negative and lost, why would you want to trust her with anything more than that? I mean, why would you want to trust her for anything more than that? Anyway, we're glad that the tweets are back. Obviously, Donald Trump is trolling the Dems a little bit for blowing it.
The Daily Wire put out a book about all of Trump's tweets from his last term, so they're going to have to make another one.
Okay. Actually, you know what? I didn't know that. Maybe that'll be your Christmas present this year. All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning into Azimuth Podcast, and please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.